Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Of shock and surprise inside Milford Superior Court as the verdict was delivered this afternoon. Raul Valley not guilty of murder in the stabbing death of James McGrath. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. After weeks of testimony and just a couple days of deliberations, the jury delivered their verdict, though it was not a clear one.
Yeah, the jury remained deadlocked on several charges Valley faced, leading the judge to declare a mistrial on those charges. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules has the reaction following the acquittal of Raul Valley.
There was a lot of emotion in the courtroom. Raul Valley let out a sigh of relief as the verdict was read, and his mother began crying and hugging family members. However, the McGrath family was completely in shock, with several of those family members bursting into tears.
Court stands adjourned.
All rise. Court's adjourned.
After 3 weeks of testimony and 3 days of deliberation, the jury was able to come to a partial verdict. Valley was found not guilty of murder and the lesser charge of manslaughter in the first degree, as well as the 3 assault charges. The jury remained deadlocked on another lesser charge of manslaughter in the first degree, reckless. The court decided to call a mistrial on that charge. After nearly 2 hours of deliberations, the jury told Judge Sherry Murphy Monday that they were hopelessly deadlocked on the murder charge. Tuesday, the jury sent another note to the judge saying they were still deadlocked on the murder charge and unable to reach an agreement on the 3 assault charges. Valley said he was acting in self-defense when he stabbed 4 people at a Shelton house party in 2022. 17-year-old James McGrath died from his injuries and 3 others were injured. Judge Murphy wished Valley the best of luck before adjourning court.
You have been acquitted of the 4 charges that were held against you and stated in the substitute information. So at this point in time, I wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Thank you. Valley got emotional as he hugged his defense attorney, Kevin Smith, before leaving the courthouse hand in hand with his family. However, the McGrath family left the courthouse heartbroken and shocked.
I was ready for maybe manslaughter. I'm not ready for not doing it.
Kevin McGrath, James McGrath's father, says they will never forget Jimmy and will keep pushing to get justice for him.
Jimmy was a wonderful person. Both Rosie and Jimmy were the light of our lives. He's just great personality, good kid, funny kid, great athlete, a team player.
The court did call a mistrial on the first-degree reckless manslaughter charge. The state plans to refile that in court. In Milford, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
Now, despite the acquittal of Raul Valley on the most serious charges he faced, the partial verdict makes things more complicated and keeps the case open.
Fox 61's Raven Blue spoke with a legal expert about what's next after a mistrial was declared on some of those charges against Valley.
It was a dramatic end to a closely watched trial. After weeks of emotional testimony and hours of deliberation, the jury in the Raul Valley trial acquitted the now 20-year-old of the most serious charge of murder and intentional manslaughter in the 2022 death of Fairfield Prep student Jimmy McGrath. But the case is not over. I spoke with a legal expert about the verdict and what could come next in the case that has gripped the entire state.
I would have expected the jury to have deliberated even a little longer than it did.
It took jurors until day 3 of deliberations to come to a partial verdict in the Raul Valley trial.
Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
The now 20-year-old was found not guilty on the greater offenses of murder and intentional manslaughter, but the jury remained deadlocked on the other 3 charges of assault Valley was charged with following the stabbing death of James McGrath at a 2022 house party in Shelton. Quinnipiac University Law School Dean Brian Galini believes the jury was thoughtful while going through the evidence that was presented to them, leading them to their decision.
We saw that, for example, through the notes that the jury sent back, the request for reviewing the defendant's testimony.
Because Valley and the victims were juveniles at the time of the offense, Galini says a lot of emotions could have played a part in the jury's decision-making, resulting in the partial verdict.
Just a lot of emotion around whether a guilty verdict, is justice or compounds what's already a tragic situation. In other words, people have strong feelings about whether a lengthy sentence for a juvenile being tried as an adult is an appropriate resolution.
Since the jury was deadlocked on the lesser offenses and a mistrial was declared, the prosecution has the opportunity to refile the case on those charges.
My best guess is that ultimately there's a refile, followed by a period of silence where we don't really hear a lot, and then a plea resolution. That's what my experience and expertise suggests.
Galini says a plea agreement would have some level of incarceration as a requirement. Valle originally rejected a 40-year plea deal. In addition to the potential of a retrial, there are ongoing civil cases against Valle that will play out in the weeks and months to come. In Hartford, Raven Blue, Fox 61.
And you can find more coverage of this trial on Fox 61 Plus. Just download it on your TV and watch for free.
Now, Fox 61 Weather Impact with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank.
Rain is moving back in again, and it will be heavy at times as we head through the overnight hours. You'll see a downpour. This may end up turning into a few rumbles of thunder, too, as it moves from Union into Woodstock. We also have a downpour here around Oxford and Naugatuck. That's moving in towards Cheshire. But the bigger picture here is that we've got all of this rain that's going to be swinging through overnight. So you may wake up in the middle of the night or early tomorrow hearing the sound of some heavy raindrops or even a few rumbles of thunder with some instability, and that'll be the case into tomorrow morning. So it is a wet start to the day tomorrow. Some puddles out there on your way off to work, but I do think we start to kind of dry things out as we head through the afternoon. So notice it's the wettest in the morning tomorrow. Any steady rain will turn to just taper off to scattered showers through the rest of the day with mostly cloudy skies and cooler temperatures. We'll take a look at the changes as we head into the weekend. Your full forecast is coming up.
Rachel, thanks. New tonight, after a memorial meant to honor a beloved Hartford native was tarnished, the community isn't letting the legacy fade.
After a brazen theft left one mother heartbroken, the Hartford Fire Department stepping in to help make things right. Fox 61's Valerie Moravi has the story.
The Hartford community and the Hartford Fire Department are coming together to honor Craig Yanni, a man who was a strong advocate for his home city. Now the efforts come after someone stole a plaque dedicated to him from a memorial garden and nearly sold it for a profit. After watering her son's memorial garden every day since it was put in place.
As usual, so I went to church on Sunday morning, and I usually pass again to see his beautiful face.
But that June 21st, Hyacinth Jenny came to a shock to find her son's plaque was missing.
I'm saying, oh, what happened to the plaque? It was gone.
Craig Yanni was a beloved member of his community. He sadly passed away from a heart attack in 2016 at 33 years old. He was a PhD genetics researcher at Brown University and a Trinity College graduate. Yanni says the plaque was a reflection of Craig's life.
It felt like he had a second death when the plaque wasn't there anymore.
The plaque was dedicated in 2021 as a tribute to Yanni's legacy. Trinity College honored him further by renaming the spot where his plaque stood Dr. Craig J. Yanni, PhD Way. But officials say someone unscrewed the plaque from the metal holder that was cemented into the ground. While police investigated, Hyacinth Yanni says she hoped someone had a heart to return it. And then she got a call. Someone tried to bring the now damaged plaque to a scrap metal yard. The owner refused to purchase it and called the police.
It was a sense of relief, but what makes my heart sink was they dug the picture out of the plaque. I felt like, yeah, they violate me in so many different ways.
Arturo Rosa, the president of the Hartford Firefighters Local 760 and a longtime friend of the Yanni family, says the bronze plaque was installed by the community to honor Yanni's memory. Now the community will come together once again to bring Yanni's bronze plaque back to its rightful place.
And she said, "You're not going to believe what happened." And, when she told me, my heart dropped. The community will stand behind Hyacinth, and we'll get the plaque back, and hopefully we'll do it the right way so that it's not able to be stolen again.
Yanni says despite all that has happened, she says it will never erase the memory of her beloved son from her heart.
Nights I would pass here and just glance at his face, smiling, and that gives me some comfort.
Now, with the help of the Hartford Fire Department, Yenny says she hopes to fix up the plaque and have it back at her son's site very soon. She says she's also hoping to add more safety measurements around it to prevent something like this from happening again. In Hartford, Valerie Morabi, Fox 61.
Well, new tonight, 2 people on bikes were hit by a car in East Haddam this evening. State police did not have many details to share, but a trooper told Fox 61 it happened on Jones Hill Road around 7:20 p.m. Both were hurt but are expected to survive. They're in the hospital recovering tonight. We're working to learn more for you. And we've learned the name of the young man who died in a motorcycle crash last night. 19-year-old Aiden Russell of North Haven crashed into a sedan on South Colony Road right next to a ramp I-90 off of I-91. And Wallingford police say Russell was wearing a helmet at the time of the crash.
A judge handed down a decade-long sentence this week for one of the men involved in a violent home invasion in Middletown. 19-year-old Jordan McNeil will serve 10 years behind bars, followed by 5 years probation. He was part of a group where they forced their way into an apartment posing as delivery workers in late 2023. A woman was hit in the head with a gun. Others were zip-tied as the suspects searched for valuables.
And a man now faces prison time after a deadly shooting in East Hartford that left a teen dead. A jury found 21-year-old Jockey Clark guilty of manslaughter with a firearm. He shot 17-year-old Nakai Grant during what police say was a botched marijuana sale in January of 2022. Investigators say Grant tried to steal the drugs through a car window and Clark opened fire. Clark will be sentenced in September.